Hi again, I hope you're doing super well. If you don't know who am I, my name is Jay. I'm a guest host. MPJ and David invited me to DevTips to create a full tutorial for you. The last video was me creating a character from a mobile game called Among Us with only HTML and CSS. That was very fun. I hope you liked it. If you like CSS and create cool things, go to that video. I'm gonna put the link in the description. For this video, we're gonna be creating a landing page from scratch, and it's gonna be a landing page for people to actually subscribe to whatever you want. I'm gonna be using MailChimp. It's gonna be very, very easy to do. All you need to do is HTML, CSS, and that's it, because all the JavaScript is coming from MailChimp. So we don't need to do a lot of complex stuff. Again, my name is Jay and welcome to DevTips. Here I have the design. I'm using Adobe XD for this one. And as you can see, if I click here, I have everything is separated. I have the fonts from Google Fonts. I'm gonna show you where I got them and how you can get them. I designed this form. And everything is here, all the sizes, all the font size. A lot of people ask me, why do I design everything before I start coding? Why you don't code and that's it? Why you don't go ahead and just start coding it instead of like spending some time designing? Now, what I'm gonna tell you is when you design, you change a lot of things. You change the sizes, you change colors, you try to go to a perfection. If you code, that's not gonna happen, okay? You're gonna be coding and you're gonna start changing the colors. It's gonna take a lot more time. And that's my experience. When I design, it takes a lot less time when I'm coding because the design is done. All you have to do is focus on the code the CSS, the HTML, JavaScript, because the design is already there. Just make sure that it looks good and it looks just like your design, but you are not coding, designing at the same time. You're gonna spend a lot more time if you do that. That's my advice. That's why I design first and then code. All right. So now we have this. Let me undo as I move a couple things here. I'm gonna go. This is my design. I'm happy with it. This is my landing page. We have a header. We have some copy here, some description, and then we have the form. We have a name and email, and then the submit button. And that's it. Now we are going to, I'm going to close this. VS Code. All right. I have here my HTML empty. I have my CSS empty. And I have a reset CSS. And this CSS, all it's doing is resetting some browser default CSS. So you can see UL, OL, padding 0, the box sizing, H1, H2, all this. Margin 0. So all the things that I want to be like not modified by the browser. Okay, you can expand, you can create your own. So let's make sure that that's gonna be there in my HTML. I have this photo that I'm gonna use for the background by Jeremy. The link is in the description with the credit. Make sure that you credit when you use images, photos from this is from Unsplash, as you can see. Make sure you give them credit. Okay, I'm gonna close this. Let's go to the HTML and we're gonna start from nothing. So on VS Code, I'm gonna write HTML. They're gonna give you a couple options. I'm gonna choose HTML5 and they're gonna give you all this ready to go. I'm gonna change the title. We can change it to subscription or whatever you want, honestly. Doesn't have to be this. And I'm gonna add here my style CSS. I'm gonna do link CSS, style CSS, okay? And before my style CSS, I'm gonna do the reset CSS. So do the same thing, link, and I'm gonna change this to reset. We're gonna reset that CSS. If I can write, all right. Let's save that. All right, I'm gonna close this to have a little bit more space. There we go. All right, so now we have both of the CSS. My style CSS is totally empty. Let's start coding the HTML. Let's go ahead and start by with the header. So let's do header. Just like this. And I'm going to create a container. And the container is going to be pretty narrow. It's going to be like 600 and something pixels. If I go back to my design, that's when you can take a look at everything. So my container is right here. It's kind of the size of this. And if you see here, it's 660 pixels. So here you go. This is one of the good things about design. Everything is here, sizes, colors. Everything is already here in my design. I don't have to do that now in the code, like think about the colors. No, everything is done. All right, so let me close here. Just to give you an idea. All right, so the container. We're gonna start adding CSS later. I'm gonna do some HTML first, make sure it's showing, everything is working. The H1, let's do H1. It says subscribe, and it was subscribe and learn, right? Go back to design, making sure that that's it. Subscribe and learn, but the end learn is stacking up. The subscribe is one level up, and they're stacking. So let's make sure that we create like a span. We can do this and learn. All right. So the span, what we're gonna do is making sure that they're stacking up instead of like one line. Okay, that's a good trick. And by the way, span is the best thing you can do when you're doing something like this, because span is not like, it doesn't come with like their own style or something like that. Okay, cool. So we have that. Let's go ahead and save it. And there we go. We have subscribe and learn. There you go. So we need to make sure we add the Google font and all that. We're going to do that in a minute. All right. So let's go ahead. Now we're going to have a paragraph. Right now, I'm just going to use a placeholder. So I'm just going to copy some Lauren Ibsen. All right. Or you can do it right here. Let's do Lauren. I don't know, 50 words. That's what it is. Something like that. I'm going to do a little bit less. But you have that option right there. Let's save it. Here you go. All right, we can see the copy. And as you can see, there's no style. It doesn't look that good. So we want to make sure it looks like this. So let's go ahead. Let's start coding some CSS. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Google Fonts. And I already found both of my fonts that I'm going to use. I'm going to use Roboto. I'm going to use Permanent Marker, which is the one that looks like a marker. And then they give you the option to link and import. I'm going to import it directly to the CSS. I'm going to copy this, put it here. There you go. And you can see it's importing the fonts from Google right here. And you can use the font family, simple as this right here, font family, permanent marker, or Roboto. So for the H1, we're going to use the permanent marker. So let's go ahead. Let's add the body, the color of the body, and all that stuff first. So let's do body. The color is going to be that dark, back to design. We have here a dark blue color. You can just go here and copy from the design. So background, that color. And the font family for everything is going to be the Roboto one. So let's go ahead and go there. And let's copy this. Save. Let's go back. And as you can see, the font, I don't know if you can see it, but the font changed and the background color is now that dark blue, okay? Let's do the whole header, which we're gonna add that cool background by Jeremy. And actually, let's do the container first before the header. This container, we can repeat it again and again if you have multiple containers. So let's make sure it's up here. So max width, as we know, is going to be 600 by 60 pixels. That's going to be the maximum width of that container. margin 0 up bottom, and automatic left and right. And this is gonna center my container. So that's good. And we can add some padding to that container. 0 up and bottom, and 20 pixels left and right. I think that's good. Okay, let's save it. And as you can see, now it's inside this container. So that's working very well. Let's continue here. Background for the header, we can do pitch black and add the actual image. We have the image right here. Let me see, is Jeremy. Okay, so it's gonna be Jeremy. There you go. And then down here, oops, let me fix this. All right, that's better. The background is gonna be, I want to cover the whole header, and I want it to be at the top. I want it to stay at the top and center. So all you have to do here is go here and do top center and cover. Let's see if that works. Here we go. So we have the background, of course, it doesn't look that good right now, but the background is there. It's covering the whole header and it's at the top. So it looks very similar to our design. It's going to be at the top. All right. And let's now start, our text is going to be aligned to the center. I'm going to add some padding. That way we have all that space, bottom and top and bottom. So padding is going to be something like 100 pixels top and bottom, 0 left and right. And that we're going to have a lot of space between them. It's going to look a lot better. And let's save that. Let's see how that looks. All right, here we go. Let's make sure that the color is white because I can't see. There we go. So center, we have 150 pixels top, 150 pixels bottom, and that's looking good. Now we have to add the font to the H1. So let's make sure we do that. And there is if we go back to design, there is a border here. And there's a shadow. It's kind of like this neon colors. Looks cool, I like it. So let's make sure we create that border and the shadow. Just go ahead and go border bottom. This is like 2 pixels, solid. And the color is 89FCF3. So that's that neon blue color. Okay, a little bit of shadow, box shadow is going to be 0 0 10 pixels and the same color, so we can just copy and paste it. There we go. Now we have that neon like line something. Looks cool, I like it. All right, so the H1, so header H1, same color. It's going to be this neon blue. So let's go ahead and do color. You can do 89, that one. And we have to put the font family. And remember, font family is the permanent marker. So let's just copy this. Paste it. There we go. Font size, this actually needs to be pretty big. Let's do 7 EM. Let's save it. Let's see how that looks. There we go. So we have the font that's working. We need to fix the line height. That way we don't have this space right here. And we need to make sure this one is a little bit more to the right, and this one is a little bit more to the left. And I think we need to skew a little bit. So it's like a skew, and then this one's to the right, this one to the left, and this one's to the right. So Let's make sure we do that. How do we do that? How? All right. Actually, it's very easy to do it. So let's make sure that is text align to the left. Oh, let's fix the line height. We can do 0.8 EM. Text align to the left, and don't worry, we're gonna text align to the right, the specific span. Okay, that's what I want to do. Let's skew a little bit. So transform, skew, -5. Let's save it. There we go. So yeah, looks weird. We need some space here between this description and, so let's go ahead and do padding bottom, 60 pixels. There we go. Now we have that space. And I think we're good here. We just need to make sure the and learn is more to the right. All right, we're gonna align it to the right. So let's do header, H1 span, display block, text align right, save. There we go. Oh, actually, the skew needs to be the skew Y specifically. That's why it's not working. I was like confused by it, but there we go. Save. And now we're talking. All right, so let's create some style for the description there. So header P for paragraph, tag. Color is like a gray color. I have it here. I'm gonna copy and paste it. Font size, I'm gonna do 18 pixels. It's kind of not that small, but not that big. That's what I want. Max width, I think is smaller. If we go back to the design, I'm gonna click this and it says 540 pixels, 540 pixels. So I'm gonna do that. Save. Let's test it. There we go. That looks better. All right. It's not centered, so we need to do margin 0 auto. There we go. Now we have here the actual headline of the page. We have the description, the background, and it looks really good. Let's make sure that, looks just like the design. And it looks like it. Awesome. This is looking really good, guys. So now what we have to go back to the HTML. We have the header ready. Now we have the form. And the form, if you go back to the design, we have name, email, and the actual button. So not very complicated. Let's go ahead and start coding that in HTML. And then after that's done, we have to make sure that when we submit that information, it goes to your MailChimp account, and then you can send emails and do email marketing. But let's go ahead and code some here, some labels, some fields. So we have the label. This is going to be the one for the name. So let's go ahead and put the label for equals name. This can be whatever you want, honestly, but make sure it's obvious. All right, label, and we have the input is going to be text. And this one, the type is text, sorry, that's all there. Value, the value is going to be empty for now. And the name is name. Let's save it. Let's see what we have. All right, not looking so good, but we have it there. As you can see here, we have name and we have the field, and you can write there. All right, cool. Don't worry, we're gonna add some CSS in a minute. Same thing, label again. This is gonna be the email. This is email. Then we go here, input. This type email, make sure it's email. Value equals to nothing for now. And the name is email. All right, let's save. Make sure that we have that too. So email, all right. And now the button is going to be another input, but this type is submit. Oops, if I can write. Submit. We're going to add a class because the button, I have a specific class for it. Subscribe class. The class can be whatever you want, depends on the CSS. You can put any class. And the name is going to be subscribe. And I think that's it. Oh, and the value, sorry. So the value is going to be subs. Because it's going to say subscribe, okay? That's what we want the value to be. Save. As you can see, it's a button. It says subscribe, that's the value. If we change it, you can see it changed. Skip it, subscribe. All right, so we have both labels, both fields, and the subscribe button. So now all we have to do is actually add some CSS and make sure it looks just like our design. All right, so let's go ahead. Jump to CSS now. Now we're going to the form, so let's do form. The background. Remember, you can go back and forth to your design, making sure the background colors are the correct ones. For example, if I click this form, I go here, this is the background color of the form. Go back to the CSS, paste it right there. Border radius, it has a little bit of border radius. It's 12 pixels. It has a little bit of padding too. Actually, not a little bit of padding. 50 pixels, I think is a lot of padding, but it looks good. Let's save that. Let's go back. Save it. Not this, this. There we go. So now you can see it's the background, the border radius, everything is there. Okay, that's working. But we need to start actually getting into more the fields and all that. If we go back to the design, let me go here. You can see it's kind of on top of the header, a little bit here. So we can create just a little bit of negative margin to the top, and that's actually pretty easy to do. So let's go ahead and close this. Let's do margin. So the first one is the top, so we're gonna do negative 40 pixels, 0. And then at the bottom, let's keep it 0 for now. There you go, we have that negative right there. Font size is gonna be something like 28 pixels. I can go back to design and get the exact font size. There you go, 28 pixels is bold, 28 pixels. Let's make sure it's position relative. We have the box shadow. I don't know if you notice, we have a little bit of shadow there. Kind of looks like a light more than a shadow. So let's go ahead and add that. So box shadow. All right, 0, 40 pixels, 50 pixels. And here's the trick. Negative 50 pixels. Why? I'm going to show you why in a minute. And we have now this, not the colored, is the little neon color one. Is it this one? The F3? Yep, that's the one. Save. Here you go. All right, so we have a couple changes. We added this shadow here. We the font size changed. Something very important that we missed is the container. So that's very simple. I'm gonna add the container right here. And I'm gonna close it here. So the form now is inside that container that is 600 by 60 pixels, if I can remember. There you go. Now we're talking. Now it's looking a lot like the design. There we go. Yep, 600 by 60 pixels. That's looking good. Now let's keep going. The inputs, they're looking super weird right now. So let's go form, input, display block, width 100%. Let's save it. Let's see what's the difference now. There we go. So now display block and with 100%, now they're taking the whole space. And you can see, I don't know if you can see the inputs right here, but they're there. So it's looking more like the design. Let's keep going. They have a little bit of border radius. So let's make sure we put border radius, 12 pixels, just like the form. There you go. They have a border already. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a border right there that I do not want. So I can say border, none. There we go. Now we don't have that border. The height of the field is gonna be 68 pixels. Save it. There you go. So it's big and nice. I like it because you can see it. Anyone can see it right there. A little bit of padding. As you can see, if you click on it and you start writing, it's right there in the border, and I don't like that. So let's add a little bit of padding. 15 pixels. Let's do the same thing. There you go. Now we have that space right there that I really like. Scroll down a little bit here. All right, so it's not white. The field is, let's go here. It's like this same background color. So let's just click on it. Make sure that's the color. Yep, there you go. So what we can do here, let's close this. Background. Nope, I didn't need a hash. There you go. Save. All right, here we go. Looking nice. Those labels, don't worry, we're gonna fix them. We're gonna fix them. They're like super dark. I can't see them. The color of the input is gonna be white, pure white. And we're gonna add transition 0.5, and you're gonna see why we're gonna add the transition. Save. All right. So now we can write, and the text, the font looks good. The text is, the actual color is white, and it's looking good. The focus, I'm gonna change the focus. Do not like default one from the browser. So let's do form input, outline none. The outline comes with the browser. Every time you do this, there's a focus. I don't like it, but it helps a lot for people to know. But make sure it looks good. So let's go ahead and do box shadow. And I want to do kind of a little light, maybe something like we did with this. Is just a little bit of light when you click on the field. So let's do box shadow. 0 pixels, 10 pixels, 30 pixels. And remember the little trick that we did here, which it means you're kind of the proportion, you're scaling up and down the actual box shadow. So that's why you can do those cool things. With a lot of people don't know that even this exists. So let's go ahead and do negative 20 pixels. And the colored, what was it? 89, there we go. Let's see if that works. All right, there you go. So now, oh, something that I did was, yeah, I need to make sure it's in focus, not every time. But here you can see the light. So that's gonna show when you click on the field. So let's make sure we add here, focus. All right, save. And now when you click, then you get the thing, a little light in the background. I think it looked nice. I don't know, let me know. And what I want to do when you click, I want this to get a little bit lighter, the whole field. We can use filter for that instead of a color. Let's change the contrast and let's change it to 85%. So now when you click, there you go. It's a little bit lighter. You get the little shadow light. It looks good. All right, so let's keep going. Let's work with the buttons and the labels. Right now they're super dark and the button doesn't look that good. So let's do form, label. Color is like a gray color. I'm gonna just copy and paste it from here. The font weight is gonna be bold. Display inline block. And a little bit of margin. Let's save it. Let's see how it looks. There you go. But now we need a little bit of margin to the bottom of this. So let's do margin bottom 15 pixels. Yeah, that's a lot better. Let's remove this. That's a lot better. That's looking good. Let's add a little bit of margin or padding to the bottom. That way we have space there. So let's go to the form. Let's make sure that here we add, I don't know, 150 pixels margin to the bottom. Now we're talking. Yeah, that was driving me crazy. I don't know I'm sorry. Now we have this space. We can see the little light there. This is looking very good. We need to work with the button right now. So let's go ahead and do that. Form, subscribe, which is the actual class of the button that I added to the bottom. Max width. Let's go back to the design. There's a max width here to this button. 302, let's do 300. 300 pixels, let's go back here. Height is gonna be automatic. The background is a dark color. Is it the same? Yep, it's the same dark color. So we can do, let's close this. Just copy and paste it there. The border, there's a border, as you notice, with the actual neon color, the neon blue. There we go. 2 pixels. Solid. There we go. Yep. That's what I like. Neon. It has a border radius. It has a lot of border radius. That way it looks more like a pill. I like it. Let's do 45 pixels. There you go. That looks a lot better. Font weight is going to be bold. Line height, normal. Margin, 0, auto. Let's see how that looks. There you go. So now it's centered. Perfect. But as you can see, design is kind of getting out. It's like the button is trying to getting out of the form, which I think is a cool style. It's different. So let's go ahead and do that. And it's very simple with some negative margin here. So let's do negative 80 pixels. Let's see. There we go. So now we have the button right there. We need to add some spacing here and here. That we're gonna do it later. Let's go ahead, and when you hover the button, what's gonna happen? Let's go form, subscribe, hover. All right, background, I want to be dark color. That's the 1515 color. No, actually, the background is gonna be the neon. That's better, yeah. The neon color is the 889, and the color of the text we can do then the dark color. Let's save it. There we go. Beautiful. This is just beautiful. All right, and I want to make sure that we have a pointer, like the little pointer when you hover. So the cursor pointer. Let's save it. Let's see if that works. There we go. And that's a little bit better. I'm noticing that when I change the font weight, it's not changing. And I'm sure I did something wrong when I imported the font. So let's go back to Google Fonts. Where is it? Right here. So Roboto, regular, we need to add more styles. Yeah. So let's make sure we add the bold. All right, let's just copy all this again. And now you can see that we have a weight 400 and 700. Let's save it. Let's see if that works now. There we go. I don't know if you noticed, but now our font now is, the weight is bold and it looks better. That's what I want. All right, so now that we have the form, it's like, okay, now we can write, everything looks good, we can click, but nothing's gonna happen yet. So I'm gonna go to my MailChimp and I'm gonna get some code. That way, when I send whatever, the name and email, I get it to the MailChimp, that data, those values, save it on the MailChimp account, and then I can do email marketing. So I'm gonna go there, use my MailChimp account. If you go to audience, and then you go back to sign up forms, you have here a couple options. Form builder, that's important because you have to go there, build a form. You can add the fields that you want. If you want a name, you want last name, you want email, country, language, whatever you want, you can build it there. And then you go to embedded forms. So I'm gonna click here. And you have some options here. And as you can see, when you scroll down, they're giving you HTML code and some JavaScript code. So this is exactly what I want. There's some CSS that we don't need because we already have our own CSS. But I'm gonna just copy all this. I'm gonna copy. Right? And I'm gonna paste it right here inside my container. Paste. And we have a lot of code right now. But I'm gonna scroll up a little bit. And as you can see, we have a link to a CSS file that we don't need. We have our own CSS. And we have some inline CSS, and we don't need this. We have our own CSS. And now we have the actual form. So you can see there is a div with an ID of sign up. There is a form and the action with a specific URL. We have all the extra MailChimp stuff. So let's save it and let's see how that looks. All right, so as you can see, they added a subscribe thing here. We don't want it. In H2, let's just remove that. There is a text here that says indicates required. What I want to do is I'm gonna put this at the bottom instead of the top. So before the subscribe button here, let's put it here. All right, that works. And we need to add our class in this button. So let's go, what was the class? It was subscribe. There we go. All right. So, there you go. So now we have all the MailChimp code. As you can see, there is already validation and all that stuff. So making sure that you need to actually fill this. If it's not an email, please enter a valid email. All that good stuff is there already. And when you actually submit, now it goes to the MailChimp and you have subscribers. Very cool, huh? So now we have our own form, CSS, but of course I need to change some of this. Let's make sure this indicates required looks good. Let's make sure that this alerts, it look good. I don't like this asterisk, how it looks. So I'll add a couple things that we're gonna change now. Let's go to the CSS. I'm gonna add a comment here. I'm gonna put MailChimp. Oops. CSS. Or you can put whatever you want. It doesn't have to be MailChimp CSS. All right. all these things that added by MailChimp, they have their own specific CSS classes, and you can use that to just override whatever they have, okay? So let's do that. Let's do form. If you go to the HTML, you will notice that now our email and name are inside groups. And let me see if we can find it. Here we go. MC field group, and then there's another one, MC field group, name, email. So let's make sure we have some space between them. I'm gonna reload this because we don't have space in between them. So let's make sure we do that. MC field group, margin bottom, let's do 35 pixels. I think that's good. There we go. Now we have that space. I like it. The required thing, let's make sure we change that. The classes indicates hyphen required. All right. Let's do the color. And that's this right here. I don't know if you can see it right there, indicates required. Let's make sure we change that. Let's do the actual gray color. Font size, I want to be half. I don't want to be like huge like it's right now. So let's do half of the font size. A little bit of margin, top and bottom. 35 pixels, 0. And text align. Oops. We can just center. There we go. Now we have that little message, you know, this indicates that it's required. It's there, but it's pretty small, but you know now what it means. And it's always good to have it there. People do not understand sometimes what this means. You have to let them know. All right, now the error thing, like this, this field is required thingy. Let's make sure we modify that. The form, the class is MCE inline error, and it's a class. Make sure you have this, and we are good. All right, let's do display inline block instead of block. Inline. There we go. Font size, I want to be half of it. Small. There we go. And position relative. Now here's the thing. If you do this form, the MCE inline error is gonna get every single element with this style, and I don't want that. If we inspect the element right here, quick, you can see that this div is generated and is after the input, right after the input. So what we can do is form input and a plus sign. So what that means is that it's immediate after that element. So immediately after input, if there's an MC inline error element with that class, then put this. All right, so let's save that just to make sure that it's not adding any style to any other type of element with this. Okay, I think that's good. And what I want to add an arrow, like a little arrow to the top, like, hey, this is the field that you need to be you need to fill, is required. Please fill this. So form, let's copy and paste this. Before, content, there's nothing, width 0, height 0. Now here's the trick. Border left 10 pixels, solid, transparent color. Border right 10 pixels, solid, transparent, border bottom, 10 pixels, solid, and whatever color you want, which I want this same red. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to copy and paste it from here. I want to be positioned absolute. That way I can position this wherever I want. And top is going to be negative 10 pixels because it's 10 pixels. So let's save it. There you go. Now we have this arrow pointing to the actual field. And I think as a user experience, it's a lot better. I know it's not a big deal for a lot of people, but details matter. So I like it. So that's a cool trick. There you go. That's how you can make an arrow using borders. Now let's go ahead and test the actual form. So I'm gonna close this. Let's do I eat websites. I'm gonna do like a normal person right now. aslgmail.com. My name is Jay. All right. So you can see the actual error required things disappeared. I'm gonna subscribe. And I don't know if you see it, but it says thank you for subscribing. All right, I'm gonna go back, and I want to know if I'm subscribed now. There we go, and now we have this email. Subscribe. The name is Jay. This is working. So let's go back, and I'm gonna add some style to this thank you success message. So let's do form. And just like the other ones, this is success message. They have specific classes. So MCE, success, response. Let's do background green. Doesn't have to be very specific now. Some padding. Let's do 25 pixels. Text align center. I want to be center the message. Color is do white. Border radius, same as the form, 12 pixels. And transition, we're gonna add some little animation later. So let's add 1 second of transition. Save. Here you go. So now we have thank you for subscribing with the green, border radius, centered, white, looking really, really good. Let's go ahead and add an animation. I want to add just a very basic animation. Let's do animation. The name, let's do response. And this animation can be on an error, success, whatever. 1 second forwards. And actually, we need to create the same one. So let's do, again, the same thing. IE website, J, subscribe. Oops, there's an error. IE website Gmail is already subscribed to YAliens. Click here. By the way, YAliens is the name of my list for this specific MailChimp form. Click here to update your profile. All right, so we need to add some CSS for this error too. So I'm just gonna copy the whole thing, paste it, and let's change it to the actual red that MailChimp is using. And the CSS class instead of success is error. There we go. Oh, in this link, let's change it to white. Color white. Save. There we go. So now we have the error. You can click there. It will go to like a specific MailChimp page that is your profile, and you can unsubscribe, you can update, whatever. All right. So now I want to create this little response animation. Let's go ahead and do that. Actually, before that, I want to fix this little asterisk things. I don't like them. Let's do that. Form, label, asterisk. I think that's the class, asterisk. Let's do color. Let's change it to the neon color. I think that's the one. And font size, half, so 0.5 EM. And vertical align super. Let's save before I do that. All right. So this is the size that I want. That's the color that I want, but I want it to be up here in the top corner. And how you can do that is do vertical align. Super. Save. There we go. So that looks good. A lot better than the other one, right? Little details, remember. Details matter. All right, so now the animation. What was the name? Response. And a 0% is going to do something, and then 100% is going to do something else. All right, so what I want to do is at 0, I want the opacity to be a 0, and I want transform, translate Y, 20 pixels, and then 100% is going to go back to whatever is right now, which is opacity 1, transform, translate Y, 0. So let's save. Here you go. I don't know if you saw that, but let's go and test it. Let's go ahead and test it. Let's try another email so we can have a successful email. Whatever email test at gmail.com. Subscribe. There you go. And you can use a very subtle animation, but I like it. You can add things like this, very simple as adding a simple animation, translate, you're good to go. All right, something that I need to change before finishing the whole thing and we're good is making sure that it looks good on mobile. So I'm gonna go here. And as you can see, the only thing that doesn't look good is the headline here, the H1. So let's go ahead and do this. Add media, max width. Oops, sorry, there is a typo. Media, there you go. 768 pixels. The header. First, there's a lot of space. I think there's 100 and something pixels in padding. So let's do a little bit less. So padding, let's do 80, 0. Save. Header, H1. And font size right now is 7 EM. Let's do 4 EM. There we go. That's a lot better. And I think we can keep playing, making sure that it's, it looks better. But let me reload this. Let me close. Now let me actually put it here that we can see everything. There you go. All right. I think that looks really, really good. And it's working how it's supposed to be. It's going to the MailChimp account. Let's go ahead and go there. I'm gonna go back to all contacts. There you go. We have the whatever email test at gmail.com. J is subscribe. Yes. So we have now a landing page that looks very good. It's already connected with MailChimp. I can send this to people with more stuff. You can add whatever you want and people will actually subscribe here. And it works and it looks very good. I hope you like this video, but if you want to learn something specific, please let us know in the comments below, or you can join our Discord server and we can chat right there. My name is Jay, and this is Dev Tips.